Rock and roll was under attack during the mid-'80s. As the music got more theatrical and provocative and MTV gave it a national platform, America's youth screamed for more. It was obvious that pop music was experiencing a revolution it hadn't seen since Elvis swiveled his hips on the Ed Sullivan Show. This scared the hell out of conservative Reagan-era baby boomers so much, politicians and their wives, mostly their wives, attempted to clean up the music industry. That's when Dee Snider of Twisted Sister stepped up and showed the world how ridiculous and un-American these attempts at censorship were. Today, we're going to take a look at the day Dee Snider of Twisted Sister outclassed U.S. Congress. But before we get started, take a second to subscribe to our channel, Weird History. If you hear or see something you like, leave a comment, or just tell us what unusual music stories you'd like us to cover next. Now, I want to rock. Rock. On September 19, 1985, the United States Senate held a hearing where representatives from the Parents Music Resource Center, also known as the PMRC, made of Senators Paula Hawkins, Al Gore, and others, testified before the Senate Commerce, Science, and Transportation Committee on,
unquote, the subject of the content of certain sound recordings and suggestions that recording packages be labeled to provide a warning to prospective purchasers of sexually explicit or other potentially offensive content, unquote.
Their beef? They thought music with explicit lyrics were too accessible to their kids. And no, they were not gonna take it anymore. They wanted record companies to label their albums with ratings, similar to how movies use the MPAA rating system. The rock community, made up of musicians and fans, saw this as censorship and segregation, and they thought they were so condescending, their gall is never ending.
Twisted Sister!
They weren't going to take it without a fight.
I want to rock.
That's when Dee Snider stepped in. Not only did he become the powdered face of rock and roll, but its savior with a grace and intelligence that no one was expecting. Snider didn't ask to become the spokesman. He was invited by the Senate to the circus-like hearings to censor rock because, by the looks of him, they thought he'd embarrass himself. They saw the hair, makeup, and clothes and thought Snider was an easy, frizzy blonde target. But when Snider opened his mouth, the Senate realized just how much they underestimated the singer. Dee's wardrobe, a classic 80s look of cut-off denim, skin-tight jeans, snakeskin boots, a little bit of eye makeup, and of course, big hair. It wasn't an accident. Dee had it all planned out. While John Denver and Frank Zappa appeared before the Senate subcommittee in suits and looked fairly put together, Snider went in the opposite direction. He strutted into the hearing in a ratty jean vest, a sleeveless Twisted Sister t-shirt, a studded belt, sunglasses, and a head of puffy blonde spiral curls. He looked like a combination of Sideshow Bob and solo Stevie Nicks. All three musicians delivered articulate speeches, but, given his appearance, Snider's well-presented and meticulous response was a surprise, proving that neither the PMRC nor the committee should have expected an easy debate. He also pointed out he didn't drink, smoke, or do drugs of any kind. What did he do? Snider later said he knew his message would have more merit if he kept true to his identity. Snider didn't want to meet Congress halfway. He wanted them to make the effort and see beyond their preconceived and antiquated notions. When Snider talks about his day in front of Congress, one of his big wins, according to Dee, is when he got a rise out of Senator Al Gore. The beauty of the jab was that Snider used the words of Senator Gore's wife to do it. In his open testimony before the Senate, Snider directly addressed Tipper Gore's contention that Twisted Sister's song, Under the Blade, was sadomasochistic and about bondage. The song, according to Snider, was actually written for the band's guitar player, Eddie Ojeda, who was about to undergo surgery for the removal of throat polyps. Tipper Gore, however, claimed there was an underlying sexual message in the lyrics. Your hands are tied, your legs are strapped. A light shines in your eyes. You faintly see a razor's edge. You open your mouth to cry. After deconstructing the meaning of the song to Al Gore, Snider told him,
Ms. Gore was looking for sadomasochism and bondage, and she found it.
The room went quiet for a second, and all you could hear were the clicks of photojournalist cameras and a rumbling of laughter. Al Gore seemed to be thrown off his game, too, simply replying,
Yeah.
and then moved on to a different line of questioning. Snider later told the Huffington Post that he enjoyed the raw hatred I saw in Al Gore's eyes when I said Tipper Gore had a dirty mind. Hair Rock 1, the man 0. One of the reasons why Dee Snider and Twisted Sister were so prominent on the PMRC's radar was because of their 1984 video for their angst-filled teen anthem, We're Not Gonna Take It. Oddly enough, the PMRC didn't have as much of a problem with the song's lyrical content as it did with the violent content of the video. The violence is about as serious as a Bugs Bunny cartoon, but not quite as funny. Snider thought so too, and admitted in his opening remarks that it was his inspiration.
The video for We're Not Gonna Take It was simply meant to be a cartoon with human actors playing variations on the Roadrunner Wile E. Coyote theme. Each stunt was selected from my extensive personal collection of cartoons.
Snider insinuated that the PMRC confused the lyrics with the video when it came to the intent of the song, pointing out that there was no actual violence mentioned. Several decades later, We're Not Going to Take It has become an anthem for Republican and Democrat politicians, teachers striking for fair wages, and charities like the United Way. Chalk another one up for the glam rock. During his opening remarks, Snider was able to call out Tipper Gore on one of her lies which she thought would strengthen her case. According to reports, a few days before the hearing, Tipper said that she was repulsed by a Twisted Sister t-shirt that she had seen recently. Snider highlighted a statement from Tipper Gore, saying, "You look at even the t-shirts that kids wear and you see Twisted Sister and a woman in handcuffs sort of spread-eagled." Snider called her accusation
an outright lie.
Telling the committee that
not only have we never sold a shirt of this type, we have always taken great pains to steer clear of sexism in our merchandise, records, stage show, and personal lives. Furthermore, we have always promoted the belief that rock and roll should not be sexist, but should cater to males and females equally.
He challenged Tipper Gore to produce such a shirt, and when asked about it again by Senator Al Gore, the congressman clarified for the record that the word T-shirts was in plural, and one of them referred to Twisted Sister and the other referred to a woman in handcuffs. Snider stuck to his guns, insisting Tipper was referring to Twisted Sister before Senator Gore changed the subject. Semantics. Another win for rock. There was a point where a member of Congress called Snider out for his parenting skills and whether or not the singer would know which music to keep from his underage son. Snider gave 3 options. First, he'd look at the cover.
Well, quite simply, as a parent myself and as a rock fan, I know that when I see an album cover with a severed goat's head in the middle of a pentagram between a woman's legs, that it's not the kind of album I want my son to be listening to.
Right.
Second, he'd read the song list and lyrics.
If I read a title on the back of, say, somebody said Ice Cream Castle, a title called If the Kid Can't Make You Come, whatever it is, I realize that's a sexually explicit song. By just looking at the cover, looking at the lyrics, looking at the, the titles, that should cover just about all bases.
Finally, he'd listen to it.
The few albums that do not express their intentions on the cover or in the song titles, I think a parent could take it home, listen to it, and I don't think there's too many retail stores that would deny them the ability to return the album for something different.
Another clear and concise response from rock, unlike the flimsy allegations from Congress. We're going to give this round to Snider. Snider identified himself as a Christian when he was speaking to Congress, a fact the committee members jumped on to try to discredit him. Snider's band, Twisted Sister, had a fan group that went by the name SMF Friends of Twisted Sister. Senator Gore asked Snider about the group and what the acronym SMF meant. Snider replied that it stood for
The Sick Mother Friends of Twisted Sister.
Is this also a Christian group?
I don't believe that profanity has anything to do with Christianity. Thank you.
Senator Gore went on to say,
That it's just an interesting choice because I was getting the impression from your presentation that you were a very wholesome kind of performer, and that is an interesting title for your fan club.
So how kind was time to Dee Snider and his accusers? Let's see. As far as the PMRC's rating system is concerned, an album with a parental advisory sticker on its cover usually meant more sales and higher chart positions for all offending bands. In an MTV interview, Skid Row's lead singer Sebastian Bach even said that his band used to hope their album's explicit content would earn them a coveted PMRC sticker. The sticker became a badge of honor. Dee Snider and his wife have been together for well over 40 years, married for most of them, and have 4 children who each have gone on to enjoy successful and respectable careers in the entertainment industry. Meanwhile, Al and Tipper Gore separated after a handful of vague rumors about growing apart and not seeing eye to eye on the former senator's Hollywood spotlight. They're still lazily married, but they date other people now. As for the record industry that backed down so easily at the limp threats of the PMRC and Congress, it's a shell of its former self. Physical albums have become novelties in a world driven by downloads. Yet, warning labels still adorn individual track listings and albums online. So what do you think? Do you want to rock or do you want to rock? Let us know in the comments below, and while you're at it, check out some of these other stories from our weird history.